Okie doke. Hopefully we're live here. This is jumping up and down on me. Hold on a second. Can you guys see my screen? Because it's saying that it can't capture it. Capture it. Yeah. So it seems like it's working. Yeah. So all right. Well, I guess we'll just ignore that warning. Okay. Cool. So yeah, today I wanted to just build some stuff and do it on stream for fun for a change. So basically we are adding a bunch of new empty state categories or components to Tailwind UI. We didn't have any before. So, you know, stuff like this where you're working on an app and someone hasn't created any content yet. So here's like a couple of simple ideas. This is kind of like an idea that has like some suggestions on how to get started. So these first three I've already built, and I thought I would try and bang out a couple more of these other ones while we're streaming here. So here's one for like adding a team member, I guess, to your project. And it kind of suggests some people that you've added in the past. This is like kind of similar to this one up here, but with a different kind of style of recommendation UI. And yeah, this one is kind of like this one a little bit, but with like a different idea of how to kind of put it together. This one's kind of complicated looking, actually. All right, so we're just gonna try and bang this one out, I guess, and see where we get with it. So let's pull up the old browser here. So I'm gonna duplicate the existing one that I already had. I guess we'll call this like with recommendations or something. I'm gonna unplug my office fridge. 1 second. So just give this a name. For anyone who hasn't seen before, hasn't watched these streams, like we have this kind of funky development environment we built for Tailwind UI where you can see this is like the format that we author things in, which is a little bit funky, but it's kind of cool. And this is like a custom UI that we built for doing the development, so we can easily navigate everything and check the responsive stuff and stuff like that. So you can see here's our starting point for with recommendations. At the bottom, it'll kind of tell me like, what does the React code look like? What does the Vue code look like? Are there any accessibility issues? And I can hide kind of all that Chrome, and I can disable responsive mode if I want, but it's nice because this actually is way faster than the browser responsive mode. So it's pretty cool. So let's just start by wiping this out and getting rid of this. And usually I start by just kind of dropping in the general structure of things. So we have to have like a section at the top for a bunch of stuff, and then looks like a section below it. So I'm just kind of thinking there's this chunk, and then there's kind of this chunk at a bare minimum. So now up here, there's like this SVG. So let's just grab that and just paste it in here, set the language to SVG, minify, format, copy, paste that in. And then we'll switch some stuff out to be like Tailwind based. So we'll do like stroke equals current color. And then this is an inline SVG, so we can get rid of that. And I guess there's going to be H12, W12, text, gray, 400, something like that. So, you know, we should, yeah, we already see something happening over here now. So there's that SVG. So next, it looks like there's like a title here. Because these are like just isolated components, it's always hard to know what to use for like the heading level, like an H1 or H2 or H3. So I usually just try to imagine what the page would be like and take a best guess, because reality is people are going to need to change this on a per project basis, probably depending on what other stuff they have on the page. So I'm just going to make it an H2 because I'm going to imagine that there's some other bigger title on the screen. And why the P tag here? You haven't added any team members to your project yet. As the owner of this project, you can manage team member permissions. Cool. We might have to revisit this copy. I never know if we wrote it or if we were inspired by it when we were looking for ideas on what sort of content you would have on like an empty state. So, but it's probably all right. And then we're gonna have a form input down here. I'm gonna stick it in a div because form elements are not block level by default, and I kind of don't like putting like non-block level siblings next to each other. Like mixing like block and inline next to each other, it always feels kind of, something about it just triggers my spidey senses. So we'll just stick that there, maybe give it a placeholder, I guess. Yeah, we're gonna have to think about how to do this. I don't know, placeholders aren't announced to screen readers, so it doesn't really matter what it says, but we're gonna need to add a label too. So we'll just say like email email address. Let's make this screen reader only. Cool. And yeah, I know I can copy text from Figma, but then you don't practice your typing, you know? You don't warm up those digits. So we'll make this an H3 team members previously added to projects. And I guess we'll make this like a UL. And then we're going to grab these people from like a data source. But we're going to, at a bare minimum, have like a div for like the image, then a div for like, I don't know that this really needs to be a heading actually. We'll replace this with like real data. And another one where we can put this button in. And this is going to have some sort of SVG icon here. Which one is this? Looks like this is the outline. X Horicon type solid. A lot of this is like little custom elements that we've made just for our development environment. So what happens is this gets like compiled into something else. So, oops, did we die? Yeah, sometimes this thing blows up in weird ways lately for me. Not sure. There's no add. What is it called? Plus, maybe? Yeah, I guess it's just plus. Cool, so yeah, I guess we're done. Looks beautiful. Okay, so actually though, this, we're going to want to do like an MX auto because we're going to want that SVG centered. 8 pixels there, so that's MT2. 4 pixels there, so that's MT1. Then the dimensions or the font information here, so it's text large, font medium, text gray 900. And this one is text small, text gray 500. And then above this input, we've got a MT6. And then I'm just going to go to like input with label. Kind of just grab an existing input here. And what do we got now? So we're getting a little closer, so we're going to need to center some text. I think we'll just do like a text center wrapper here maybe. I want to just put this in here. I don't know why, it just feels like it should be in there. Okay, cool. And then we've got a section here. So here we've got a 40 pixel gap. So that's going to be an MT10. And then this title is going to be text extra small, font semi bold, text gray 500. My VS Code theme it's the material community theme, but customized a bit to have higher contrast, because I found the defaults were a little washed out looking when you were making videos and stuff. So if you look at like a color, I don't even know how to even do a color theme. It's this one, community material theme, high contrast, but the background color is customized to be a little bit darker than the default. All right, so now we've got this list. So this is gonna be border T, border B, border gray, guessing 300, 200. And we've got a 16 pixel gap, so that's 4. Then we've got a border between each one, so we'll do divide wide, divide gray, 200. And yeah, uppercase text I guess we need to do here. So we'll go uppercase, tracking wide, I think is usually what we do. Cool. And yeah, seems pretty good. So for this data section below, if you look at like team sections, I think we'll probably be able to find like oh, what's going on here? Team sections, is there a simpler one? Why are they all so fancy? Anyways, I'll just copy this and we'll use this as a starting point. So basically we have like a bunch of data available to us that we reuse for things, and we have this custom format where we can export data that we want available in the template. So we'll just grab like people 3, 4, and 5 maybe, and I think I'm just gonna, why do we need max on that, I wonder? What does the max function do? It's not my function. I think it's Brad and Robin made that. Probably does something cool that I probably guess don't need. So we'll do an each loop here. Person and people. And this is like a post HTML syntax. And I think it's like person.image URL. Yep. And then person.name, person.role. Yeah. Oh, interesting. I guess we have to slice 3 to 6. Yeah. So we got some people. Cool. So let's style those people. So what do we got for this? First of all, we've got a padding. Steve's got 15 pixels there. He probably meant 16. So we'll do PY4. The image is 40 pixels. So H10, W10, rounded full. The gap between this and this is 12 pixels. I'm just going to assume we could get by with a 12 pixel gap there too, and that we can just do like space X3. So we'll also want to do flex items. That's 34. That's 40. Yeah, these are centered. Center. Okay. And then for this text, we've got text SM, font medium, text gray 900. And this one I'm guessing is text SM, font medium, text gray 500. We usually use 500 for light gray text. It's like the lightest that you can go with Tailwind's defaults and still meet like kind of recommended contrast guidelines against white, and I think also against gray 50, maybe even against gray 100. So what do we got there now? Coming along. So conveniently, like these two stacked are the exact same height as this, so they center nicely. And yeah, so I'm gonna check if Tailwind UI has like a pill button with an icon. We don't have a pill one with an icon, so we'll just create it from scratch. So that's going to be, let's see here, 7, 12, I guess. Steve. Should we make that 8 pixels or should we make that 6 pixels? I'm going to say 8. PY2, PX3, is that what we said? 12. And then 8 on this side. We'll use negative margin for that. Rounded, full, BG gray, something. 100. And then this will be H5, W5, text gray 500 probably, guessing. 400. And then the gap between them, 2 pixels. So we're going to do an MR 0.5. And since this is only 8 on this side, but 12 on this side, I'm going to use a negative left margin of 1 to pull it into place. And then we're going to want to make this like an inline flex container. Okay, so that's starting to look right, but we got to do this text. Span class equals text SM font medium text gray 900. Okay, and then I think for hover we probably just want to go a little bit darker. Okay, and then to get this all the way off to the left, there's 2 ways we could do it. One is to do ML auto here, I think. No? Oh, I think we need to yeah, well, I am a little bit surprised by that, I guess because of the alignment of the button in the container. But probably the way that I would actually do this is just make it messier. This isn't the only way to do it, but it's kind of the way that I personally makes sense to my brain. Is to use justify between to push them off to the side and then make this like a nested flex container. So now you have like 2 kind of groups. There's this group and this group. And then for this one, you probably want to go flex shrink 0. And this one, min width 0, flex 1. And we'll probably want to think through what should happen for like long titles. So you see how it wraps. Oh, we got to fix this avatar too. Class equals flex shrink 0. Okay. So I'm not sure what the intention is for wrapping here, but it's always interesting to just see would it work if we just truncated it. See, it doesn't actually work, so that means we probably have to go min width 0, flex 1 on this one. There you go. And then, yeah, it might get cut off a little bit, but at least the alignment stays the same. So I'll double check with Steve what he wants to do there. So something else that we should probably do here for actually just as like an accessibility thing, I think, this is my gut, is that right now, if you were to tab through this UI and tab to these buttons, the screen reader would just say like invite, 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 and you wouldn't actually have any idea who you were even inviting. I use SpaceX because GAP is not supported in enough browsers yet. And we use SpaceX for everything else in Tailwind UI, and anyone who bought Tailwind UI expects it to work in certain browsers. So you can see it was added in Safari 14.1, which has like 1.72% usage, but there's more people using versions of Safari that don't support it than using versions of Safari that do. So we do not use it yet. Hopefully soon, though. All right, so yeah, like I was saying, we probably want these buttons to include information about the person. So I think I'm just going to do like another span here with the person's name. And we'll just make it hidden except to screen readers. So now if someone was actually like tabbing over this, I don't use VoiceOver enough to test things. I just kind of hope that I'm right. Let's turn it on for a second and see.
Welcome to VoiceOver. VoiceOver speaks to...
Okay.
VoiceOver. Invite Lindsay Walton. Invite Courtney Henry. Invite Tom Cook. Invite invite Lindsay Walton.
So now it'll say like who's being invited.
Invite Lindsay. Invite
cool.
Invite email address. Enter an email.
So I think that's probably better.
VoiceOver off.
Interesting, it actually does read the placeholder on VoiceOver on Mac OS. So that's kind of, yeah, it's a tough one to decide what to do there. People are probably not going to be confused by it, but it's not really a placeholder per se. But yeah, cool. So let's do like the desktop version, I guess. So for this one, yeah, that's okay. So it looks like the main thing is just we're adding like a max width container to the whole thing, which is like 512. Max width, MX Auto. So let's see. I'll have to go bigger. You'll see that the input changes sizes. That's just because on iOS, any input with a font size of less than 16 pixels, when you click it, it'll trigger a zoom. So we don't want the browser to zoom when people focus that input. So we always make sure inputs are 16 pixels on mobile, even if we like how it looks at 14 pixels better. So yeah, this is actually honestly done. You'll notice that on the actual component, we don't have any padding or anything like that. So like here's the component itself. It basically goes edge to edge. We have some padding in like this sort of kind of display area that we use for kind of displaying it on the website so it looks nice. But to me, it makes the most sense that when you copy something, it actually doesn't bring along any of that sort of external white space, and you can just like drop it in where you want and add exactly the white space you need instead of feeling like you're like adding white space on in addition to the white space it came with and stuff like that. My mic is super quiet. You're super quiet, Jeff. I can't hear you at all. It should be pretty decent. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I'm surprised that VoiceOver actually played through Ecamm Live. I guess Ecamm Live just like automatically feeds the computer output into the thing. Whatever. We'll survive here. Okay, so I'm going to call this one like done enough for the purposes of the stream. And we'll move on to another one. Oops. Cool. For contrast, yeah, we've tested a bunch of combinations, so we just kind of know what's sufficient and what's not. And if ever anything looks kind of suspect, then we'll test it and find out and change it if we need to. Okay, so now we've got this one. I'll just duplicate this one. So this is going to be empty state 5, which is like with templates. I don't know. Seems fine. And I guess I'm going to keep this stuff because this looks like it's going to be basically the same. But I'm going to get rid of the rest of it. So we'll have to restart this dev server every time we create a new component. Come on. With templates. Okay. All right. So is this the same? LG medium gray 900. Yep. We can get rid of this margin. This one is same spacing. Okay, so create your first project. Whoop-a-dip-a-doo. Get started by selecting a template or start from an empty project. And what's the max width here? Maybe we'll just leave it. Yeah, it's the same, so we can actually just leave that bit. Cool, so then we've got a list under here with, there's going to be each loop, we'll probably say like item in items, just kind of pretty vanilla boring name here. And we'll add some items up here, we'll just make it like an empty array to start. Then under that, we have a div with a link that goes nowhere. That says, or start from an empty project with a rar after it. I use Edge because it's Chrome, but faster. And it might only be faster because I don't have all the same crap installed in it. Okay, so this one's going to be pretty easy, I think. 24, so that's an MT6. Border T, border B, border gray 200, divide Y, divide gray 200. LIs are going to have some sort of padding, probably PY, let's guess 1. Yep. And then we should make some items. So we'll have like a name, marketing campaign, description, and I think we're also going to want like a href probably. If we make them links, like you could make them buttons, but it kind of depends how you build your app. Like this could go to a different URL, or it could like open a modal, so whatever. Kind of up to the individual. And then we need like an icon color, and I'm just gonna use classes here so that it's purgeable. Steve used rose here, but that's not part of the default Tailwind color palette, so can't actually use it. He probably would want to use pink instead, actually. And then the icon, we're going to have to find out the name of that. Megaphone? Speakerphone. Rocons.outline. Speakerphone. Okay. And then we've got an engineering project. Which is purple. And what is that going to be called? Terminal or something? Oh, good guess. And event. And this is going to be a calendar. And this is going to be yellow 500, I'm guessing. So we should at least see like, yeah, some junk. And then we can style it. So we'll put the X heroicon icon equals item.icon. Oops. Item.name. Description. And then we have a chevron. Type equals outline, I'm guessing. Maybe it's a solid one. Nope, solid. Oops. Chevron right. Should see something. Yeah. Progress. So this is 40 by 40 with a rounded LG. Item.icon color. What? Inline flex. Item center. Justify center. Should help. There we go. And then the icon, I'm guessing, is going to be H6W6 text white. Come on, what's going on here? Some weird crash. Okay. All right. And these are top aligned. So we'll make this a flex container with item start. This is going to be, I'm guessing, text SM, font medium, text gray 900, if I had to guess. And then the same thing down here, but lighter font and not as dark. So a gap of 12. Is there any space between these? No. Okay. And this is going to be flex item center H5W5 text gray 400, I think is our gray icon color. Okay, so let's just start. For this one, we could implement this kind of similar to what we did for the other one, but maybe a little simpler just by doing like this, honestly. Yeah, and then we'll add like a flex shrink 0 to both of these just to kind of encode our intention. And I've got a bit of a problem, which is, does this work? Yep. So the chevron was up at the top because of the item start here, but I wanted it centered. So to make it centered, we needed to make its parent fill the whole height. So I used self-stretch to do that. I guess we could also even just do like self-center here, and maybe this works too. Yeah, less classes. Okay. Vertical padding of 16, did we already do that? Oh, we said PY1 should be 4. Silly Adam. Okay, and we're going to want to make these like links, so we'll work on that in a second. But let's do this start an empty project thing. So it's 24. So that's going to be MT6, text SM, font medium, text indigo 600, hover text indigo 500, if I'm remembering our patterns right. And then we're going to do something for these. So One thing that is kind of an interesting thing to talk about is we probably want these whole boxes to be like the link. So you might be inclined to think like, it's tricky in this case because we have like an li. So I'm just going to do something. I'm going to change this li to a div for a second. Get rid of this. So imagine like each item was like not part of the li, which makes it a little easier to play with. You might just think, okay, well, we should make this the a tag and put in like whatever it is, the item.href. And now like you can hover over them, right? But if we go back to the accessibility panel,
Welcome to VoiceOver. VoiceOver
okay.
VoiceOver on Microsoft Edge.
I wish I could
VoiceOver
make
off.
VoiceOver quiet for you. Sorry, forgive me. Enable VoiceOver. So
Welcome to VoiceOver.
okay, come on.
Voice
Marketing campaign. I think the kids call these memes these days. Link list 3 items.
So you see,
Mike,
every time
engineering
I go over
project something really expensive that will ultimately get cancelled.
it
Link.
reads the entire thing, not just
Event like a conference all about you that no
the
one will
title.
care about. Link.
And I feel like a better experience for people when they're navigating with the keyboard is to
VoiceOver
kind of
off.
not overload the content. Like for sighted users, I think when you're scanning this, you're just kind of looking like marketing campaign, what's the one I want, you know, and then you might read a little bit more about it once you're kind of narrowing it down. But I don't think you're going to read this whole thing and then look at this one and read this whole thing, then look at this one and read this whole thing. Is VoiceOver really loud? Sorry. So yeah, I wouldn't make this whole thing a link because otherwise it's going to read the whole thing. I'm just going to cut that for a second. So what I would do instead is I would take just the name and make the name a link. But now you'll see not the whole thing isn't clickable, right? Only the name is clickable, which isn't good. But when you tab through it, the you're going to get a much nicer experience for their screen reader users. So how do we make the whole thing clickable? So what I would do is I would find the ancestor, give it a position relative, so it acts as kind of like a positioning anchor. And then in the anchor tag, what we're going to do is create a span with a class of absolute inset 0. Make it hidden from screen readers, since it's just an empty, pointless thing. And now you can click the whole thing. But the focus style is still on just the individual things. Pretty cool, right? So now I feel like perfectly comfortable just using the default browser focus styles because you don't see them unless you use the keyboard. And if you're using the keyboard, you probably want to see something that you're used to and familiar with. And you don't see it when you click because we haven't customized the focus style. If you customize it, you'll see it on click, which is annoying. And if we wanted to, we could still do like some styling of the thing that changes a little bit on hover. Like I think one thing Steve suggested was maybe making this like a hover group, and on the icon doing something like group hover text gray 500. So this will be like pretty subtle, but you can see that like the chevron changes color when I hover, you know. We thought about doing like the whole background, so you can imagine like if we had hover BG gray 100 just so it shows up on the stream. But I don't like how like the icon goes right to the edge. So it's kind of trickier than you think to make something that looks good here. You either want to like inset the icon a little bit, but then it kind of looks bad when you're not hovering over it. So it's a little bit tricky. So I think we're just going to stick with like not worrying about the hover state too much and relying on the chevron and then having that nice kind of clear focus stuff. So now if we go to a larger screen size, I think like, yeah, it's already done. So that's it. Done this one. Add empty state with templates. Oops, templates. Push it up. All right. Time is it here? 2. All right, so we got one more. It's kind of a complicated one. Mostly because of like this stuff, honestly. But we'll make it work. For this one too, I actually wonder what we'll have to, I'm not sure what the intention is for this like actual user experience. Like there's no form or anything here. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be like, maybe it's supposed to be like an autocomplete, like you can enter someone's email and it shows a list, you select one and it becomes like a bunch of little like tags or something. I'm not sure. And then maybe there's like a button that would go down here if you're fleshing out the whole thing. We'll see. Cool. X template is just made up. Same with layout, same with like the way this script data thing works. It's just this hodgepodge of custom templating language crap that we've built up. No, you won't be able to access these components until they're released, which probably won't be today. It'll probably be, I want to say tomorrow, but there's always more work than we think in getting the stuff out. Maybe tomorrow, maybe Monday. All right, so I'm going to take this one with the recommendations and use this as the starting point for this other one. So I'm going to say like with recommendations grid. It's still the same thing really. It's another recommendations one, but okay, so we'll kill this, restart it. Whoa. Cool. All right. So looks like the top is basically the same, slightly different text. I'm just going to make it the same just because it makes it easier to compare. We'll bring this down to like iPhone-ish size. And yeah, I'm going to check if we have an input in Tailwind UI that kind of looks like that already. It's actually kind of similar to this one. Wow, the Edge default select thing is fucking horrifying. Oh, man. So let's grab this. And slap it in over here. Okay. That's something I think we should try and improve, actually. See how this font size gets bigger on mobile? It's supposed to do that, but it feels too tight against the chevron when that happens. Never noticed that till now. So, might finesse that a little bit. Okay, so this says like can edit. So this is going to be like their permissions, I guess. So we'll say like can edit or something. Can view. I don't know. We don't really need a lot. And we'll say this like permission or role. I don't know. Role seems fine. We don't need this thing. enter an email. Email address. So I think we're gonna have like some padding we can get rid of here. This PL7 I'm guessing can just go. Okay, and it looks like we're gonna want a some sort of border on the left here. So it looks like it is 16 pixels tall. I'm inclined to honestly do like a H1 width PX BG gray, whatever. Let's do it as like a little doodad. And just see. Oh, what's wrong with my brain where I'm thinking 1 is 16 because it's like 1 rem. All right. And there's a gap of 16 between that. So what is making this gap right now? I think that's probably fine that it overlaps it that way. It's probably desirable even. But maybe we'll give this like a little bit more left padding since there's like a thing there now. All right. When you invite someone, would it go up top so you can select the role? Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not sure what the flow would be for that. These are usually things that like me and Steve kind of figure out when I'm building something and have questions, but when I'm doing it live, it's a little harder. But I'll bring that up with him after, and we can think it through and see if there's a good way to imagine how it would actually work. You could imagine, I can think about a couple ways you could do it. Like clicking it could pull up a little popover thing where you click the role at the same time. So it could be like invite, and then there's like, yeah, you'd have to figure out the exact language so it was clear. But you could select the role like right when you're doing that maybe. Or yeah, it could just like populate it up there too. It's another way to think about it. Yeah, and in this case, these are just like pluses, so maybe this actually is clearer that you would just be like adding emails up here, and maybe this is like email addresses or something. Whoa. Emails? Let's make it emails. Enter an email, seems fine. Oh, whoa. Get out of here. Can't be having labels. Can't make the UI clear. All right. So we got a button that's going to go under this thing. Send invite. I should just copy this. I think it's like this middle one. And I think we can probably imagine that like this is like a form. Action equals whatever. And this could be like a submit button. Okay, so this will make this like a real flex thing, and I guess a width full. And I guess we can either do justify center or text center. We don't have any icons on it or anything, so that's odd. Is that just text? I guess text center doesn't work on. We'll just make it a block level element then. Okay. And we got a 12 pixel gap. And what about this gap? Did we get that right? Yep. So now I've got a 40 pixel gap. That's the same. We'll change this to recommended team members. That thing about like the 14 pixel Safari thing, that's just one of those horrible things that you discover when you're testing on iOS. And when you screw it up enough times, you just never ever forget. All right, so progress. Cool. So let's think about this one. So we've got 6 people, so let's slap in 3 to 10 probably, or 3 to 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, so in this then, a lot of this is honestly not going to be that much different. I think we can actually change this whole thing to be screen reader only. We'll have to think about like the auditory experience for this a little bit actually, but we'll get there. I'll move that up. We can change this probably. I think we actually have like it's actually a bug in the Heroicons library, I think, right now, where there's 2 pluses that are the same size, which is not optimal. So I'm going to inline it and try not to forget to sort that out. Minify format. Let's grab, yeah. Class equals H5 W5 text gray 400 fill current color fill go away. Okay, so that's the right plus. I don't think this even needs to be a I'm trying to think what the button should be. Like should the desired experience is that you can focus like the whole thing, and that you can hover the whole thing. So I'm trying to think like what element should be the button. It's probably okay to just make the whole thing the button, I guess. Like this isn't like tons of content. So let's just try making the whole thing the button. I was thinking originally like we might want to make this the button and add like some screen reader only text to it, and so that tabbing didn't like announce the roles, because that could be a lot to listen to. But yeah, I don't mean in case of clicks. Like definitely the whole thing is going to be clickable, regardless of anyone's opinions. But more just about what should be announced to screen readers. Well, let's just try and get this styling right for now. So we got, probably this is like the same, right? And here we've got padding of 8. I'm going to duplicate the LI thing again. I'm still trying to figure out like how many layers of nesting to use and things, but I kind of hate like collapsing the stuff up to the li for the reason we kind of ran into where we were trying to change it to a link and stuff. Kind of feels like simpler to me if like the component inside of the li is always inside of it and you never try to just merge with it. So I think we're just going to do P2. This has a gap of 18 to the edge. Part of me wants to just like I'm going to make this a span. I'm going to get rid of this button stuff. I'm going to make it inline flex, item center, justify center. And I'm only doing this because I can easily make it the same size as the image. And that'll like put it in like the more correct spot. So now I think on these we can do like border gray. Is this 2 or 3? 300. Shadow SM. And then we've got a gap of 16, but otherwise this stuff all goes away. And the gap between each of these is 16. So let's make this like a grid. Grid calls 1, gap 4, because I know we have to go to a 2-column grid later anyways, so I might as well just make it a grid now. What have I done? Just some weird crash. Okay. All right. So, I guess let's make each one of these a button. Oof. Okay. And if we want the focus style to be the one that Steve had, then I think we're going to want to do focus, outline none, focus, ring 2, focus, ring, offset 2, focus, ring, indigo 500, I think. Or does he have 600? No, 500. Okay. And then for a hover state, did Steve have anything? Looks like he's got a background and a change on here, so. Hover, BG gray, 50, hover. We'll make this a group. Group hover, text gray, 500 it looks like he went, maybe. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. So that's pretty good. And then we just got to decide what breakpoint we want to switch to the 2-column layout. So could we do it at 640? Well, first of all, I guess, what's the max width Steve has on this? 784? So I guess we'll just make it 768. I don't think he picked that number with any sort of I guess we need to go side by side on the buttons and stuff too, because that certainly looks weird. The question is, could we fit two things next to each other here? I feel like there's a chance. Hear the toddler in the background. Yeah, that fits. We might want to constrain the width of this on mobile. Is that consistent? Come on, show me the number 16. 16. Okay. So I think like here, this is probably too wide. I think we should just do like a max width. Maybe like this. Right, so it's kind of doesn't get any bigger than that. And then when we jump to this size, we'll go a little bit wider, and we can also fix this form layout. So that's really just going to be SM flex, SM items center. SMMT0. Oh, this MT1 needs to go. That should never have been there. And we're going to want to go SM min width 0, SM flex 1, SM flex shrink 0, and I guess we'll just do the margin left here. What's our guess? 16? Yep. Cool. That's a wide ass form input, is that right? Yeah, I guess so. I guess if you wanted to put in Adam at cool.com and David at cool.com and Robin at cool.com and Steve at cool.com, you know, you might need some space. Cool. That's ugly, but can't do anything about that. Not without making it horrible. Let's see what it looks like in Safari for fun. It's going to be the same, really, but... Here's a Safari version. This looks like actually like nice, you know? Native. And Microsoft is like... gross, disgusting, horrible. All right, well, I think that's probably it, honestly, for now. Banged out all three of those, not too bad. Earlier, I was cooking up some new input groups, like some new patterns for those that we didn't have, like putting like the label inside the container, doing that, but with like joined borders, doing this sort of thing where the label like overlaps, or like rounded ones, or something that has like a keyboard shortcut thing built into it, or something kind of more of like a flat design sort of look here. And then we also have a bunch of these things we're working on for like text area styles, so kind of like a boring one, or like some stuff that kind of looks like the sort of thing you'd see in like a social media site or something, you know, with kind of some cool patterns for these like text boxes. So yeah, cooking up some cool stuff, and hopefully get this release out in the next day or two. And yeah, should be cool. All right, well, I think that's probably it for today. Hopefully that was interesting and maybe picked up a trick or two, and try and do these a little bit more often because they're pretty fun. Cool. All right, everybody, thanks for joining, and I'll catch you in the next one.